And I am live. Welcome everybody to At the Movies with Angel the Jackal Espino. And we're going to do something very cool today. We're going to talk about one of my favorite franchises, Superman. And we're going to talk about pictures that just leaked onto the internet the last few days. And I really wanted to catch up and talk about this as I am a big comic book fan. And, I want to welcome everybody who will be joining me in chat. Those are there, and everybody who's going to watch this later. Before I get to the photos or anything else, I want to make sure I address this above and beyond. Please subscribe to my channel. Leave comments in the live chat area here when the video is uploaded and done. Make sure you leave comments below and what you thought of the video, negative and positive. I accept all. With that said, also after subscribing and leaving a comment, leave me a thumbs up or a thumbs down or whatever whatever you feel. So make sure you do those things for me. Also follow me on angelespino.com, which is my main website. Now, with that said, as a lot of you know, there's a lot of buzz going around with the new Superman movie, right? Directed by one and only James Gunn, who's also writing the movie or co-writing the script. And James Gunn, of course, did Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and 3. He's done other movies, like I think he did that movie 43 movie or whatever it was called. He did the Suicide Squad semi sequel reboot, whatever the hell that was, which was really his first foray into Warner Brothers DC universe. And I didn't really particularly like uh, either one of the two Suicide Squad movies. I didn't care for either one of them. James Gunn has never been my favorite director. I've never really liked his work. I will say I did enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I thought it was his best movie. Not only ever uh, to date, but even after that movie. The second one was good, but not as good. The third one I thought was garbage. I didn't really care for it at all. So one out of three were really good. The second not too good, and the third, mediocre to really bad. I didn't like it. There's a lot not to like. But with that said, I've never been a fan of James Gunn. But I have been a fan in the past of some of Zack Snyder's movies like 300, Watchmen, and he's done some decent work. And I was really excited when he took over to do Man of Steel. And I went to see it in the theaters with one of my best friends, Carlos Delgado, and my dad went to see it with me. And shout outs to both of them, by the way. And, loved the movie at first. What I was seeing, loved what I was seeing. I loved the fact that Zack Snyder was there. I liked Henry Cavill as an actor. I had seen him in Count on Monte Cristo years before, and I thought this looks like a young Superman. Like he had the face of young Superman. I even thought, man, they cast Tom Welling to play young Superman on TV, and I loved his interpretation. But I was always like, they could have gone with either Welling or Cavill for Smallville, and it would have been great because they both looked individually different, but both oozed the part of Superman. You could like see it in their face. And okay, you put this guy in the Superman suit, it'll look serious. It won't look like cosplay Superman. And I was really saddened that we never got to see Tom in the full Superman suit. And also, we never got to see a Superman movie or anything with Tom Welling, which it kind of sucked because I often thought, well, what would Welling do in a movie? Now there's been kind of chatter that they're going to do more Smallville content stuff, and he might be up for a movie, might not. I don't know. It might be a little too late to be honest. But if that happens, that'll be cool. That James Gunn did go on record saying that Michael Rosenbaum was his favorite Lex Luthor. And, we're going to go more into what the new Superman movie is, but I wanted to kind of give you a rundown of my history with Superman first. Back then, when Smallville was a hit TV show in the first couple seasons, and they announced that Bryan Singer was going to do Superman Returns, I was excited. I was like, well, we already have Tom Welling, who's ideal for the part. I mean, he was perfectly cast. Even Christopher Reeve wanted him to continue playing Superman. It didn't happen. Stuff happens. The movie didn't turn out too good. I had a personal conversation with one of the writers in was email form because I was leaked the script for Superman Returns 6 months before I went into production. I had the script with me, and I read it, and I didn't like it. I thought it was a horrible script, and I was such a fanboy that I searched a way to get a hold of somebody from the production, and I managed to get a hold of Dan Harris's email, and we went back and forth a little bit. I told him that I didn't like the way the project was moving, and I had issues with the script, and he called me a liar, said that I never had the script, this and that. I showed him kind of evidence that I did. The whole thing kind of was pretty interesting. I told him that the movie was going to fail. This is before I even saw the first image of Brandon Routh in the suit. But just from the script, I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't think that Bryan Singer necessarily was the right director. While he was a passionate fan of the Christopher Reeve era, I thought he was too much of a fanboy. And that would kind of mess up the movie. With that said, I thought I'll give it a chance anyway. I'm gonna go watch it. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Whatever. I'm gonna give it a chance, which I do to every project, including James Gunn's and Zack Snyder's movie. I will see anything Superman in theaters. This is my favorite DC character. Next to, by the way, Batman. Now, when it comes to Marvel, my favorite characters are Blade, which is my all-time favorite comic book character, even above Superman. Yes, Blade is number one, Superman is number two on my list. Number three is Batman. Number four is The Crow. If you want to know my top four, I'm a huge fan of The Crow. Now, with that said, I love Superman. I've been a fan since I was a kid. Christopher Reeve was my Superman. Again, Tom Welling was, the generation Superman for the early 2000s to the 10 years that it ran on TV. And I always thought that he would make the correct, proper, adaptation to the films once the show was done. But that was never explored. Warner Brothers didn't ask him. They kind of just went to Zack Snyder to direct the movie. And Zack Snyder years later did Man of Steel. And again, I had Steve Eunice on one of my shows on podcast, and we were talking about Man of Steel and how I was excited at the time to know that Zack Snyder was going to direct it because, again, Watchmen 300 track record, right? So I was excited, and he was excited. We both had a good time talking about it. And overall, it seemed like that was going to be a really cool movie. Then some of the images came out, and I always try not to make too much of the images because I've seen before where it doesn't look too good. But then you see it in action, it's like, oh my god, it looks great. Or you see other shots and it looks great. Like I'll admit, the initial reveal for Brandon Routh in the suit was horrible. He looked too skinny. The pose was really bad. The boots looked like stripper boots. The color was way off. The S was too small. It just looked awkward. It looked like a swimmer suit. It looked cosplayish, rubberish. Didn't look right. And when that came out, after I had my conversation with Dan Harrison, that blew up. I reached out again. I didn't get a reply because I think the internet exploded with negativity. And that was, remember, that was 2006, well, 2005 when all this started happening. And this is before Facebook and everything that we have now, social media. It was more forums and stuff. But I remember KryptonSite.com, Kryptonian.com, SupermanHomepage.com. All these sites would form, fan forums were all exploding, mostly hating on the suit, even though people were kind to Brandon Roth, because it's not his fault. He's an actor, right? You're going to put him in a suit, he's going to be in a suit. And he's a good actor. Brandon Roth is an excellent actor. And sadly, the movie flopped. It did what I thought it would do, which was set Superman back a decade, or at least. It didn't perform well with the expectations of both the fans and the box office. Okay, some critics liked it. Some critics hated it. It was kind of almost 40-60 in that sense. But overall, the fan reaction was really bad to the point that it lost money and Warner Brothers scrapped the sequel, which is a shame because it was better directing, a better suit, better, concept, better script. Brandon would have been great as Superman, so it was really sad on him. With that said, all this time later, we finally got a reboot with Zack Snyder at the helm. This coming off the Batman trilogy with Christopher Nolan, which was fantastic. That trilogy, I mean, it was an epic trilogy, and he picked, all right, Zack Snyder to direct the Superman movie. So I was even more excited because I was like, man, if the guy who did the best Batman movies, to me, the Dark Knight trilogy is the Godfather of the Batman series, right? Of all their movies and going to the 90s, 2000s. And I love Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves' Batman, The Batman. I love that movie. That was phenomenal. They should have won Oscars. That's how good it was. And they did well. I think they would have won for something in the Oscars, but it wasn't Best Director, which, he deserved it. I mean, he was a great director for that movie. And Paul Dano, everybody who participated was just awesome. But to me, the greatest Batman trilogy is the Dark Knight trilogy by Christopher Nolan. So coming off of that, I thought, man, this movie can't fail, Man of Steel. And I was excited, and then I saw the first images again of Henry in the suit, and I was disappointed and somewhat okay with some of the changes. I like the material. I hate the dark muted colors. I'm gonna put that right there. I like the brighter looking Superman like the hat here. This is my ideal look for what Superman should look like. The color scheme, including the S. I love this S in particular. Okay, that's my favorite Superman crest. Sorry, I know a lot of people like different ones, but this is one I like the most. Hence why I bought this hat. Sorry about the coughing. I have a little bit of a cough going on today. But with that said, I was excited. I mean, I was willing to give it a chance. I went to see it again with one of my best friends of almost 30 years now, maybe longer. And my pops, we went to see it. And we all left the theater saying, mediocre. My disappointment was the script, story, and the editing. I thought was really bad. And I had a lot of issues with the story, as that's a whole different video in itself. That would be a Superman Man of Steel review, so I'm not going to get too into that. But my gripes were the story, directing, and editing of the movie. Not Henry. I thought Henry was a brilliant casting choice. If you're not going to use Brendan Roth or Tom Welling, Henry Cavill, no problems with me. I don't care if he's British, whatever. He did a great accent. Hey, my favorite Batman, Christian Bale. Hey, he was awesome as Batman, right? And he's from Wales, England. I mean, he was so good. President Trump once thought he actually was Bruce Wayne, according to some of the comedy out there. Hey, what's up, Alien Empire? I see you in the chat room. Thank you for joining. That's Mr. Raven Zion himself. Now, with that said, I was disappointed. And then, they revealed they're going to do Batman versus Superman as the follow up. And I was like, yeah, not what I would have gone with. I would have done Men of Steel 2 with a different director, different writer, and continue there to build Superman up. Then later on, after a Superman trilogy, Men of Steel trilogy, then I would have united a new Batman. So you give him more time between Christian Bale and the new actor. With that said, the internet exploded in negativity when they announced the one and only Ben Affleck. I remember it. People lost their lives over that. I hated the casting, not because I hate Ben. I love him as an actor, actually. Not fond of his politics, but I love his acting for Mallrats, all this stuff way back. I didn't like him at all as Daredevil. In fact, as a superhero, he might have the look, but he's failed in both main times, Daredevil and Batman, in my mind. While when he played George Reeves, played Superman in the TV show, man, I was like, Ben, this is the Superman you should have played. Like, they should have done a throwback 1950s Superman movie with Ben Affleck as Superman. It would be perfect. Like Brendan Fraser back in, when he was doing The Mummy, would have been great for a throwback 1950s, 60s Superman. So they, Warner Brothers kind of missed the golden ship with those two actors. But when they cast him as Batman, I was like, a little too late, a little too well known. The good thing about Christian Bale was that while he was known from independent movies, he wasn't like worldwide known, right? But he was a great actor. He was coming out of Equilibrium, American Psycho, fantastic movies that a lot of people loved. So to me, that was like, wow, okay, we have a great actor who people, fans in forums were giddy about seeing as Batman. So I saw his previous movies, and I was like, man, this guy is a good actor. He's been acting since he was a kid. He did a movie with Spielberg as a kid. He was in Reign of Fire. I mean, this is a great, great actor. So I was super happy, and when I went in, I loved the trilogy, going back to the Dark Knight. So that worked for that. When you cast Ben Affleck as Batman, instantly you're casting a very recognizable person who's a star in themselves in such a big production that's going to kind of throw people off. And that's, I think, what kind of happened. And then, you had Jesse Eisenberg playing Lex, which to me, that kind of broke the fandom in half, because most hated his interpretation of Lex. And the ones who kind of were okay with it were because they were Snyder fans and they just liked whatever Snyder was putting out. I personally thought it was horrible and the worst Lex Luthor ever. This includes Kevin Spacey as Gene Hackman's version of Lex. This includes all Lex Luthors. To me, Michael Rosenbaum still embodies the perfect incarnation of Lex Luthor from Smallville. Now, with that said, I will say that Batman v Superman did make money. It was a big enough hit to merit a sequel. I hated the movie. That was trash. But it had moments that were decent, but not enough to make me say it wasn't trash. Justice League, we had his production problems. Snyder's daughter passed away, and he left the production. Warner Brothers made a huge mistake by hiring Joss Whedon, who came in and ruined that movie. And we haven't seen much from Joss ever since, right? He's become toxic with the fandom because of that. Mind you, he was going to direct more Superman or DC stuff, and all that went out the window because of what he did. So I knew there was trouble already in paradise for those movies going into what happened. And Warner Brothers allowed for the Flash to be greenlit, Batgirl to be greenlit, all within that universe. And then whatever happened, the fans started demanding the Snyder Cut. And it got so much push because Snyder's fandom is real, and my good friend Zod Ryder, who's a YouTuber and influencer, has a fantastic channel here on YouTube. It's a big fan of Snyder's and his take on Superman, Batman, and so on. So the fandom is very tight with what Zack Snyder did, a certain percentage, a pretty large one. They pushed so hard that they got that released. They got Zack Snyder to go in and cut a director's cut essentially, and they were happy with it. Warner Brothers hired James Gunn after promising Henry Cavill that he would return as Superman, and he slightly did as Superman in Black Adams, right? And the Black Adam movie with the Rock, or as I like to call him, the Croc, because I don't like the Rock. I never liked him as an actor. Wasn't fond of him as a pro wrestler, even though I don't watch much pro wrestling. But my good friend Pat, who's in the chat here, Patrick Mahaney, he's a pro wrestling fan. So, welcome to the chat, Patrick. Now, by the way, if you guys have any questions, please, put them in there. I'll answer possibly as fast as I can. Now, with that being said, the overall vibe that I was already getting from the DCEU was that it was in trouble because of what happened with The Flash, Ezra Miller, and all that. But I was really happy when they announced they were going to bring back Michael Keaton to play Batman, the Batman from that universe, from the Tim Burton universe, in a kind of an updated, older version to see what he would have been at this point. So I was excited about that, even though I didn't like Ezra Miller or the Flash that he was playing. I was kind of like really into the Flash from the TV show in the Arrowverse, which had, at to that point, about 4 really good seasons, and then it kind of went downhill. Now, when the movie came out, or was about to come out, James Gunn praised it and said it was great. The movie flopped. Okay? And when that flopped, Blue Beetle was coming out, and he praised that also, and that flopped. 2 flops, both movies he praised. His Suicide Squad flopped. 3 movies flopping. That's a problem. And I'm going to wait till a little bit later, Patrick, for that question. It's a good question. But I'm going to hold off. I'm going to get to some of the images, and then I'm going to give you my answer, because it's going to be part of like what I talk about in a minute here. Remember, I'm going to show you guys the images. I'm not going to just sit here and ramble on about my take on what's going on here. But I do want to get this out there because it kind of brings you up to speed with what the cinematic history is of Superman. James Gunn was on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, which is called Inside You, or Inside Me, or something on the inside. And it was pretty funny because he even said that Michael was his favorite Lex. So I was thinking, well, why don't you just hire Michael Rosenbaum to play Lex in your movie? He didn't do that. He went with another actor, Nicholas Hoult, who's a phenomenal actor. He was in the X-Men movies, which I think you could see back there, the poster. Right there, right? You see it right there, poster for the X-Men. I'm a fan of the X-Men series of films. I liked him as younger version of Beast. I thought he was really good. Nicholas Holt, I have no issues with as an actor. Not like Jesse Eisenberg. It was funny because Bryan Singer was once asked years ago if he had to redo Superman, who would he use as an actor? And he named Nicholas Holt, saying that he would use him instead of Brandon Routh, which I would have just said, yeah, I would have recast Brandon Routh. He was fine. So that was kind of like, man, really, you're kind of a dick there, Brian. I mean, why would you do that to an actor you picked? You picked him, like at least be cool and say that, he's the one you would still go with. But no, he kind of threw him under the bus like he was the problem when it wasn't Brandon. Now, when I saw that podcast again with James Gunn, I was like, well, maybe he'll hire his buddy Michael. That didn't happen. They went with Nicholas. Again, not an issue with that casting. David Cornsweet was hired to play Superman and Clark Kent. I'd really not seen David's work. Um, I had not really been too, I guess, engaged in what he was doing. I really didn't follow his career at all. I didn't know much about him. I'd seen a glimpse of a trailer or something he did where he's in the military outfit and stuff, and that was my whole experience with David Cornsweet. Now, mind you, I had seen Henry Cavill years before in Count of Monte Cristo, and even he did a Hellraiser movie, which I saw, and it was awful. But he had done other things like Immortals, which he was fantastic in. So I do like him as an actor. But David Cornsweet, when I went back and saw some of the stuff he had been in now, not a bad actor. He's a good actor. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, he's a terrible actor. Shitty actor. No, he's a good actor. In fact, he's a well-trained actor. And I'm sure, acting-wise, he might be able to pull off playing Superman. That's possible. Now, one thing is to be able to act a certain way and be believable, and another thing is to just completely ooze the role, and just once you see him, this is Superman. Like there's no doubt about it. Like that's what was cool about Tom Welling. He never wore the suit properly. He had the black robe and the shirt with the gray thing on at one point, the red, jacket with the Superman symbol. But we never really got to see him in the suit until like the final was like CGI'd on him, and they used schematics from Superman Returns to make him look like he was flying, and it was very cartoonishly done and badly done. By the way, Magnificent Bastard 97, welcome to the chat, and thank you for watching live. Appreciate it. Now, with that said, I'm getting a lot of buzz here. Let me turn some of that down. Okay, that's cool. Now, with that said, I'll say that while I have no issues with the casting up to this point, right? I don't dislike David Cornsweet. Not a fan of his. I just don't hate him. Okay, so there's a difference there. I'm not passionate about the casting of Lex, but Nicholas Holt, good actor, solid actor. So again, no problems with me. And Magnificent Bastard is my boy Max and Pat, and they're both in the chat room. Cool, glad to have you guys in here. And so the casting, I'm not super against with. It didn't bother me. But when I started seeing like the close up of David Cornsweet's face and Henry Cavill's face, this is sad, but it was my human reaction was, well, he looks like discount Superman. Like he doesn't. I mean, Henry Cavill like oozed the role, right? Like just his face looked like the comic book Superman. David Cornsweet looks like if you went, bargain shopping at Walmart and you found a cheap copy of a Superman cosplay movie compared to Henry Cavill. That's what just screamed from looking at those two images together, and that's when I started getting worried because I was like, When I don't see him next to Henry Cavill or Tom Welling, I can see Superman in his face. But when I compare him to other Superman or Clark Kent's, completely fails to like show how he is the new Superman. And that was a problem for me. Even the guy on TV, Tyler, who plays Superman on Superman and Lois, looks nothing like Superman, right? Face wise, a little bit, but his body is really short, skinny. The suit is muscled up to make him look bigger than what he is. But the collar, you can tell he has a skinny neck, so it doesn't look kind of proper. But he has been able to capture the role so good that at least, even though the suit sucks and he doesn't really look right, he embodies Superman in a way that we haven't seen much before. And I love that show. Love the Lois. Love the kids. The whole cast has been so far really good. Not so far so fond of the guy they picked for Lex, but that's their interpretation. They go with it, whatever. Um, he's a good actor, by the way. I think he was in The Walking Dead, but he looks weird as Lex. But again, not my movie, not my property, so whatever. Now, with that said, we were waiting for a long time to see these images come up of Corn Sweat in the suit, right? Because we had heard all this stuff, Superman Legacy. They fired Henry Cavill. There's been a whole lot of controversy because, of course, the Superman Cavill fans are upset, rightfully so, because the guy still looks like Superman. He's still young. He could literally still play Superman for another 10 years easy, right? And he's playing other big superhero movies type or super action movies. I mean, he's in the running for James Bond. He was in one of the Mission Impossible movies, Argyle, which I loved. He was in that also. By the way, he was also in a tremendously good couple of series, The Tudors, which was great. You could also check out The Witcher. He was great in that until now they recast it because he left that thinking he was going to become Superman again. And he was fired by James Gunn. With that happening, that split the fandom more because now you have more people hating this movie before even images came out. And I'm going to get to the images in a second here because it's very important to get the images right when you're doing a movie about Superman. The first impressions, like they say, is always the most important impression. And if it doesn't work, that's a problem. I think one of the reasons why people who might have hated the Superman suit in Men of Steel were so accepting of it was that first image of Cavill in front of like the safe, where he's like looking all serious and he's like holding back the crushed in safe. That worked, right? So because of that, I think people really kind of embraced the character like they did Tyler on the TV show, even though it looked off because of the suit and the colors. They were like, that looks like Superman, like a modern day Superman. So that image I thought was phenomenally well put out there by Zack Snyder, and that encouraged me to want to see it, even though I hated the way the suit looked. Now, the first image of David Cornsweet was the worst reveal I have ever seen of a Superman suit. Worse than Brandon Routh, worse than Henry Cavill's by far. This was phenomenally bad. Okay? Why on God's green earth did James Gunn put this as the first image? I don't know. Beats me. Big mistake. And here's why. We're going to share images with you. Okay. Now, this is where this becomes a major problem. Okay. Check this out. That's the first reveal, right? Let me make sure I go here so I don't look like I'm way off camera. There we go. Okay, much better. Now, this is your first look at Superman in the James Gunn universe. Now, there's a theory going on here. The reason he's posed like this is because he's putting on his boots, and in the background something's going on. Metropolis is being, you know, destroyed by a laser or some crap. I hope they don't go with like, oh, it's New Krypton, or they're trying to like destroy and terraform the planet, because we've seen that before twice. Superman Returns and the Men of Steel. So it's already been done to death. Don't do it again. I hope that's not what this is. If it is, that's another negative against the script, because it's reusing the same concept three times in a row in the movie. Please don't let that be the case. Okay, we had New Krypton already in Superman Returns, like I said, and we had a terraforming of the planet in Man of Steel. It essentially was the bad guy needing new land to recreate Krypton. We've seen that. We don't want to see that again as fans. Trust me. At least not for another reboot. So I hope that's not the case. But, also, this kind of looks like lazy Superman. I mean, he sits down to put on his boots while the planet's being destroyed. I mean, even Tom Welling, in that moment where he like suits up at the very last episode, when he goes to the cave and he busts out, you can kind of see the blurry image. He's putting on the suit in a hurry because he's got to go save the world, right? And he's doing it as he's flying. He's not there sitting around putting the suit on, saying, "Man, I don't want to be out there." You're Superman. Okay, this is just, even if it's like a still of him going in a flash hurry to put on the suit and then he'll flash fall that way. So it might not even be a still that we see in the movie, which is another rumor, that this is just a picture of a moment which we're not even going to see in the movie, but it's just kind of to reveal something. Even if that's the case, it's a terrible picture to put as your first image of Superman. Okay? It just looks horrible. The suit looks terrible. The boots look cool in a way, but the rest of the suit, muted colors, looks dirty. The S symbol, I like the size of it. It's a Kingdom Come look, but it's not my favorite House of L symbol. It's from the Kingdom Come, which is not the standard look, but it's what James Gunn wanted, and it's also something people don't know. If you look at the cartoons, The Adventures of Superman, the new ones, or my Adventures with Superman, I think it's called. It's basically this suit. He has the trunks, same design, same chest crust, the whole thing. So that's, I think, what James Gunn is going for here, more than anything in the comics. I think it really was that cartoon. And if you look for the images or you've seen a cartoon, you know what I'm talking about. So the first image here, terrible, horrible idea. Then we get to see him as Clark Kent. Now, he looks like a dork. That works. The hair looks awfully weird. Looks like a wig. But he looks different enough that at least you could say, okay, well, that couldn't be Superman. Look at this guy. He's an idiot. He's a dork, right? So I kind of understand where they were going with, remember, Clark Kent is a disguise. Superman Kal-El is who he is, right? He disguises himself as this reporter to blend in with the world because he wants to be human. He wants to be as human as possible. And this is his way of blending in with the rest of the world to also, have a life outside of being Superman. Plus, as a reporter, he gets to address things within the news. He gets to, learn about things that are happening. And it becomes an avenue for him to be able to do also the stuff as Superman, which is a brilliant idea that was written by the comic book gods many years ago. And he looks okay as Clark Kent. It looks fine. Bumbling. There's an image of him walking in the street that came out, and okay, it's passable as Clark Kent. Not the best interpretation, but it's passable. He looks generic enough to work. Now, I haven't seen him really perform as Clark Kent. But from the look, I'm assuming he's going to be kind of more of a throwback to the Christopher Reeve era, more of a bumbling kind of, Clark Kent, which might work, might not. It depends on how the script is written. I haven't read the script, cannot let you know. Now, with that said, again, bad first Superman image, mediocre Clark Kent image. Okay, it works in some levels, might not work for some in other levels, but overall, not the worst thing I've ever heard or seen. I should say it, yeah, not heard, seen. Sorry, I'm used to doing audio podcast, but it's not the worst image I've seen. Now, of course, when you have this to work with, you're gonna come out with other memes and stuff that are not too flattering with it. But let's look at some of these first here. Like this is the new set leaks, right? Yeah, Superman being taken in handcuffs. Where have we seen that before? Man of Steel. Remember when Superman Henry Cavill is with the handcuffs and he's being led to the police station? And this kind of like reminds me of that scene. So okay, well, he's bringing something from a previous movie, I guess, as a tie-in. I don't know, maybe this. I mean, there is precedent in the comic books for them in handcuffs, being taken to jail. It's been done before in the comics and in the films. A lot of people think that this is Ultraman, as that's being discussed as a possibility, as because he has kind of like that U thing in the chest here. I personally think it's the Midnighter, because the Midnighter wears all black in the comics and he's part of the Authority, which is part of this story here. I also was told that the Midnighter is secretly in the movie, so I'm not sure if this has been confirmed to be Ultraman, or they're kind of still hiding who he is. Could be anybody. Now, the problem is not the fact that this could be Ultraman or whatever, which wouldn't look like Ultraman if it is. But if it is, whatever, that's not the issue. I like the fact that other villains are involved, not just General Zod or whatever. Hey, the Mooning Rising, the Mooning Man. Thank you for joining the chat room. Appreciate the love. And guys, please subscribe to my channel, and I'm gonna get to your questions in a little bit. Believe me, I'm gonna do this for a little bit here. It's not just be an hour video cast. I'm gonna be on and take all your questions. So post them on the chat, and I'll get to each one of them as soon as I have a chance here. So it could be, again, the Midnighter, or it could be Ultraman. I'm leaning towards the Midnighter, but I don't care really who it is. I do know the Authority is going to play a part in this, which is cool. That's something different. So I'm appreciative of at least James Gunn doing something slightly different than what we've seen before. It's not just General Zod, and it's not just Lex Luthor, which I'm cool with. Okay, so that's a positive. I'm going to give you the positives and the negatives of what I see happening here. Okay, so that's a positive. The negative of this picture is from the front there, David Cornswood doesn't really look like Superman. It looks like cosplay Superman. I love the colors on the suit. Like the blue, like the red, like the yellow. I'm a fan of the trunks. I like the trunks. So the aesthetics of the way the suit looks, I like a lot. I don't like the collar. I don't like the way the cape goes into like the suit, but that's nitpicking. Okay? Now, again, nitpicking. I'm not going to be too picky with this stuff because everybody has their own take on what they want to see as Superman. I would have gone with something slightly closer to Christopher Reeve Superman. But with that said, let's go to the next image. Now, let's see. Okay, I gotta go backwards here. My bad. Alright, now we have a crowd image. Again, It could be the Midnighter. It could be Ultraman. This is in front of, I guess this would be maybe a court scene or something where he's being taken to. Um, Not much there. It's a crowd scene. You see the police cars. You see some of the military folks. You see them take David Superman in, which is pretty cool. But again, not a fan of the overall suit. What I do love the way the colors pop, because I am a fan of that interpretation. To me, Superman has always been the light, to where Batman is the dark. Right? They're both heroes in their own way, and they both have this thing about not killing. Right? And that became a big deal with Man of Steel, as he has to snap Zod's neck, and people went ape shit over that. I had no issues with that. I was cool with that scene. Never bothered me. That was the least of the movie's problems. But a lot of people went nuts over it. And thank you, by the way, the Mooning Man, for subscribing. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. And again, this could be the Midnighter. This could be Ultraman. Whichever. Now, let's move on to another image here. Okay, there we go. This is the crest a little bit up close. You can kind of see the texture of it, right? And this was kind of like one of the first paparazzi shots of him from kind of far away. Again, I'm not hating on David Cornsweet. I think he could be a very good actor. I've seen now some of his work. He's very good. But the face looks cosplay in that suit. I'm sorry, he does. It looks like a cosplay Superman. Not like when I first saw Henry and I hated the suit, but I was like, yeah, that's Superman. Like I could see it in his face, just like I could see it in Tom Welling's face, Christopher Reeve's face, to a lesser extent, even Dean Cain, going through him back to the 90s. He was great on that show. Even though the show's campy and stuff, he was good as Superman. Embodied the character. The face looked proper. He was a football player, so he had a physique, not super built, but it was a TV show, Lois and Clark, as opposed to the one we have now, which is Superman and Lois. But the actors worked because they facially didn't look cosplay. This guy, unfortunately, looks like cosplay Superman from this angle. Now, he also resembles, to me, their young, man, his name escapes me. That's Bruce from the Evil Dead trilogy. The main actor is Bruce, whatever. See, I can dig it up real quick here. Bruce Campbell, I think. Let me make sure. Evil Dead. And I'm actually a big fan of the Evil Dead TV show, by the way. I think it's Bruce Campbell. Let me see. Yeah, Bruce Campbell. Ash, was his character in that, Bruce Campbell. So I am, kind of saying, well, it kind of looks a little bit like Bruce Campbell, even a little bit like the guy who played the Tick. But it looks funny. It doesn't look like what I would envision Superman, right? To look like, it kind of looks like, again, going back to the description a lot of people gave him, like bottom dollar Superman, cosplay Superman. And that's a good question. Will the new Superman be woke? Well, we'll find out. Some of the casting has kind of leaned towards that, but we'll find out when we get more images coming in, just how woke they'll go. But that's we can't really know until we see some of the film or the script. That they leak the script onto the internet, which I hope they do. That's how I got my hands on Superman Returns before the movie even started production. I was able to read the script, and God, shined on me because it was the actual working script that I got my hands on all back then. And when I read it and I saw the movie, I was like, my God, it was almost identical to the script. Like, it was pretty much the working script at that point. So, again, looks like cosplay Superman. A little bit more up close. Now you have Mr. Fantastic here. You have Superman David Cornsweat a little bit closer to what the suit looks like in the daylight. Again, no issues with the colors, right? Mr. Fantastic here looks cool. Looks just like the comics. I'm not gonna complain. He looks exactly like he would look in the comic. If you ever follow the Authority or any of the comic books, you know who the character is. You would say, yeah, good casting. I mean, I haven't seen the actor, but he looks the role. You know, it looks the suit looks authentic. Which I will say, in the past, one thing about James Gunn is he's made the outfits look authentic to the comics, which is why the colors and the trunks are back on Superman, I think. And while he has the long cape and even the S in the back, which is a throwback to Christopher Reeves, that's in some of the comics also. So I'll give him that. He was trying to be a little bit inclusive into all those different parts of what made Superman really cool over the years, without muting the colors and stuff. And this is paparazzi or fans' pictures on the set. This is not like officially, I think, leaked, even though I think it is. Let's not be dummies here. When the first image kind of failed, I think James Gunn and company said, well, fan reaction has been bad. Let's put other images and say they're fan leaks. But reality is they're not. They're kind of really, what it is. And then now let's go to another image. This is another side image. This angle, he looks a little bit more like Superman, so maybe it's an angle thing. Maybe if they only make the movie on this angle, you can kind of maybe see it a little bit. But still doesn't look like he doesn't ooze the Superman part, right? So, I mean, again, not much to tell. You have the military guys, Mr. Fantastic, you have Superman, and the suit, love the colors, still don't like the material. One of the main things I don't like is the bagginess, as you can see it right here on the arm. It's folding over. I do like the skin tight version because that's in the comics. I like when you can see the muscle on Superman because he's Superman, right? Here you can't even tell this guy's bulked, and I saw images of him working out. I mean, one image he looked just like Henry Cavill. He had the beard on and a hat. He was looking down. He was all ripped, and I was like, okay, this guy's taking this thing serious because he's bulking up. Here it's like he never put on any weight. He looks the same as he did in the military movie or TV show that I saw a clip of. I mean, he doesn't look like he bulked up at all, and I know he did. So, I mean, that's kind of a letdown. Now I'll go to the next image, and this is where it gets funny. This is like people making fun of the original image, and this is what it led to. Bargain bin Superman. Superman looks like he's about to save a cat or just saved the cat and got all dirty by going up a tree and saving the cat, I guess. That's what they're going for there. I do like the Walmart, this way, the Walmart bin image. I think that's pretty funny. But you have that. Then you Dollar Tree Superman, right? I mean, this is what the fans were, hollering about, right? Cheap Superman suit. Looks cosplay. Different angle. Again, doesn't look like Superman. Looks cosplay-ish. Then you have Nicholas Hoult here, in disguise, who's playing Lex Luthor with a bald head. Okay, that is good. He has the head shaved. Kind of like me, right? So maybe I should have played Lex with a beard and glasses. I don't know. I would have been the nerdy Lex with a beard and glasses. Totally different take. And Latino. Let's see. Then we have again, whether it's the Midnighter or whether it's Ultraman there. And you have Superman from a different angle being led into the court. Again, just another shot with the military. Nothing major. Okay, this is them from a faraway angle. This is, I guess, a fan image. Again, fan image. Shout outs to whoever the fan was that took the image, and thank you for leaking it on the internet, which is what this is, right? And I say that with quotes and very loosely they leaked this on the internet. But let's continue here. Then you have another close up of the suit, which again reveals very little to no muscle mass. You can see more wrinkles, you can see more of the patterns, which I'm not a fan of having all these lines and all this patterns and like, why all that? There's no need. And by the way, shout out to my good pirate buddy Jeffy Ryder. And yes, I am live. This is live, my friend. This is not make believe. You're seeing me, seeing you. We're seeing each other. And I'm gonna type in, yes, I am alive. There you go. Yes, I am live. So I'm getting that question. So I had to answer. But back to the suit here. I'm not a fan of the overall crest because that's Kingdom Come. I wanted more of a traditional, but picking of the knit, and I'm not gonna nitpick. I'm gonna just let that slide. It's not my choice, but it's not my movie, so I want to see this in live action before I fully judge. But so far, the overall, like I said, the texturing of the suit doesn't work for me. All the lines and all that stuff, it's pointless and stupid. I would have preferred this exact colors with the trunks. I even love the belt, but with a more traditional looking, skin tight look of the suit, which I think would have been perfect. Now, this is James Gunn and Company on the set. James Gunn on the set. uh, okay, well, the Mooning Man or Black and Gay, you read mind. Okay, cool, Jeffy. I don't know what the hell that's all about. But anyway, moving on. We have here more street shots, upper shots. Again, fans, images leaked by fans. Again, I don't believe it, but there's another image. Mr. Fantastic and Corn Sweat Superman looking up. That's the S from in the back of the cape, which again I love the way that looks. It's a throwback to Christopher Reeves. So these are the Skypes, and the positives are the colors, the trunks, the S in the back. I like the length in the cape. I love the belt, like the boots. Hate the overall like stitching and patterns and all that crap on the suit. That's not needed. And unfortunately, Dave Cornsweat still looks to me like cosplay Superman. His face is too thin. It looks like a thinned out version of Henry Cavill. That's kind of what his face looks like to me. But one thing I will say, he doesn't have like the little butt chin here on the chin that Henry Cavill had, which is kind of distinguishing. Which also Ben Affleck has, which is distinguishing. So I mean, that is a little bit of a weird thing because if you're looking at Clark Kent and Superman, that's one of the things you'd be like, wait a second, they both are the same height. They look very similar. They have the same butt chin. It's got to be the same guy, right? It's like in Superman Returns, where the kid who was eventually known as Superman's son in the movie, Jason, well, I think it was the name they went with the kid in the movie. When he looks at Brandon Routh as Clark Kent, then he looks at the TV and he sees Superman. He's like, and he immediately puts it together, right? That's kind of like the kind of the bad side of both Cavill and Ben Affleck as well. Well, Affleck was many things, but that's kind of the bad side of those castings because of the little butt on the chin. I will say this guy does not have that as much as Cavill, but the overall face looks really thin. That he looks like a skinny version of Henry Cavill, even though images of him working out showed him to be getting ripped. So the suit is not doing him justice. Okay, And for Jaffe, WPRPN, by the way, check out the website, WPRPN.com, World Pirate Radio Network, uh, Pirate Radio Podcast Network. Cool stuff on there, so check them out, WPRPN.com. Uh, Now, with that said, let's go to the next image. This is Lois and Superman. She's checking out the package, I guess. That's what they're going on with here. And again, I'm going to get to all questions as soon as I'm done with the images. So I will get to your questions, guys. Now, let me see. So again, not much to see other than if you're Lewis looking at his package, then I guess you might be looking at something that impresses you. But again, different angle. Not impressed by the way he looks facially in the suit. And we already know that I have my gripes with the suit. Again, like him and Mr. Fantastic. He has distinguishing dimples, which could be a very big problem when you're trying to look at him as Clark and then as Superman. If he smiles and those dimples are identical, it's kind of like the butt on the chin. It's a little bit hard to get past that. Kind of like when you see Clark on the show, Tyler, who plays Clark on Superman and Lois, he always has like that beard growth, that shadowy beard growth, as both characters, and his face looks like the same. So that's one thing that's kind of a bad negative on the show because they could have done better that way. Like at least when he's Superman, have him clean shaved, but they don't do that. I don't know why. Maybe he just grows hair at such a weird, rapid rate that they can't do much about it. But going to the next photo here, this is him again with what could be the outside of either a court or maybe the Daily Planet. Again, remember this is paparazzi image from far away. It looks okay. The colors again look fantastic. I love the trunks. Again, I like a lot of it, but there's when you get it close up, man, it's a lot that bugs me still. But the image of his face in the suit, it's something I can't get over because he just doesn't look or ooze the part of Superman. Again, I have not seen him in action at all yet. We have only seen these images, so I am not going to judge a movie and hate on it where I haven't seen live footage. Anybody who's doing that right now should go home and rethink their life. Okay, there's no need to shit on a movie we haven't seen because of set images. I'm gonna just have a problem with certain things, and I'm gonna tell you what I have a problem with. And then when the trailer comes out, I'm gonna do a trailer review. When the movie comes out, I'll do a proper movie review because I am expecting an movie that is gonna at least entertain us, right? I hope. Now, again, back to that image and Corn Sweat as Clark. You know, iffy. Now, that's all the images I have. That's pretty much what's being leaked out. There's a couple other images I didn't throw in there, which is like the newspaper images, and it's kind of blurry. You see him saving the train, and then which we've seen before in the comics and cartoons. So I don't know if that's going to be an actual image within the movie or not. Maybe it's the background image of some newspapers and they threw it in there as part of the release of some of this material. But these are the latest rounds of images. Okay, so there you go. And see, I have a couple more images here. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. This is a quote that Brandon Routh, who, like I said, played the part of Superman, uh, put out there because, again, he's a fan, lifelong fan, and it wasn't his fault what happened. Okay, and again, anybody who thinks it was his fault, it wasn't. Like what happened with that movie was just not his fault. But he was asked at Ace Superhero Comic Con uh, past maybe a few weeks ago what he thought the next actor to play Superman in David Cornsweet should really consider when playing the part. And he said, I think the biggest thing for me about Superman is always recognizing the non physical superpowers that he has. It can be cheesy to relate to the teach a man to fish story, or you can relate that to that story, but it quite literally, that is how I see it, he said. And it's a very a purpose to being the thing. If you save people all the time, everywhere, maybe you never learn how to save themselves, right? That doesn't mean that you don't save them, but it just means that the teaching, the personality, the aspect, the human communication, the understanding Superman can give us of inclusion. He followed that up by saying, to me, Superman is pure love. He doesn't judge. Roth went on to say, he has to make some hard choices, like snapping Zod's neck, right? To stop people from doing bad things. But my goal, he said, for Superman is to that he has that he is that guy that everyone in their person, maybe without all the flying and all that other stuff, but he is an example that of what the best of humanity is, and how he could teach us to do it, not just to be by his actions, but by calling out the truth. Remember, Superman always stood for truth, justice, and the American way. Right? That's what he stands out for. That's the model of Superman. That's what it's always been. The model of Superman. Truth, justice, and the American way. So I couldn't put it any better. And again, Brandon, you were never the problem, my friend. You were always a great addition. But this is the director we have now. We have James Gunn. This is his interpretation. Like him or hate him, and I'm going to get to the chat room questions here as I've gotten them from the beginning all the way down, so I'm going to get to those. But like him or hate him, and I'm not a fan at all, this is the guy in charge of DCU now. We have no other major casting as far as Batman, Wonder Woman, or anything like that. There's rumors of Jason Momoa, who I think they greenlit Aquaman 3, but he might eventually become Lobo. That's the big rumor. Which I don't know how that's going to work if he's doing Aquaman 3 for the DCEU, which is dead. So I don't know how they're going to incorporate that. Maybe he's going to continue playing Aquaman and not Lobo. And they'll join his Aquaman somehow and say that this is an alternate universe Aquaman. And I don't know. They can do all kinds of things, right, with these characters. Because, again, we have multiple universes, multiple ways of connecting stuff. But if that's the case, then there was no need to fire Henry Cavill or anybody involved with Snyder's universe. They could have continued on to do their franchise independently, right? Like we have Matt Reeves' Batman movie, independent from the DCU. So in that sense, I gotta support the Snyder movement, even though I'm not a fan. Particularly, I do support the fans in that movement who want to see them continue it because that's who they love, and it'll be a shame that they don't get to see their stories end properly the way they want it, including having maybe Zack Snyder return to film Justice League 2 or Man of Steel 2 or whatever, if that's what they want. I don't know if that's exactly what they're going to want or not, but right now what we have is a weird situation with Warner Brothers where you have a director who came in, fired the guy who mostly everybody, whether you like the Snyder Cut or not, had agreed was the current generation's face to Superman and Henry Cavill. Uh, did away with Wonder Woman 3, which I'm okay with because I didn't like the first two Wonder Women anyway with Gal Gadot. I thought she was okay, but the movies were terrible. So I didn't mind them, rebooting Wonder Woman. But Henry Cavill, again, if you're going to go with letting Matt Reeves, the Batman, continue, then you should let Snyder and his universe continue independently. And I agree with the fans, the Snyder movement. Hey, you don't want to put them in theaters? Sell the rights to like Netflix or another company that is willing to put that out there. I'm all for something like that. That'd be kind of cool, I think. So there's a lot of things you can still do and not piss off the fan base. Unfortunately, Mr. Gunn here, has pissed off the Snyder fan base. So, you know, and that's a big chunk of the fans. So he's already going in with a huge negative buzz because, the fans are upset. The Henry Cavill fans, where might be independent, are upset. People reacted badly to the first image of the suit. David Cornswet, while a good actor, doesn't look right for many reasons. His suit, again, the colors work, the trunks work. The overall suit doesn't work. The patterns and all that stuff sucks. The images look like bin bargain Superman. It doesn't like just ooze off the screen. I even saw an image of Henry Cavill playing in not playing officially, but the screenshot of him screen testing for Superman in an older Christopher Reeve mock Superman suit, which was created for the screen test. And even in that spandex suit, he looked like Superman. So, I mean, you already had that going in. There was no need to replace him, but you did because you wanted to do your own thing. That's an artistic taste. As a director, everybody has entitled to that. But if that's the case, don't go in and make a shit show and start firing people when you're allowing some people and then some other people you're not. You're allowing this and that, and it's confusing and it creates a toxic environment around a character that doesn't need that. That's what James Gunn has officially done. He created a toxic environment surrounding the character of Superman and the DC brand, which did not need to be there. Okay? That aside, I'm still going to see the movie. I'm going to give it a chance and review it properly because that's what a sane person does. I'm not going to go crazy and make 10,000 videos hating on this like some other people on YouTube like to do. I'm just going to tell you that my negatives are looks like cosplay Superman. The suit patterns don't work. The suit looks too baggy and doesn't define his muscle mass like the comics and even past interpretations as recent as Henry Cavill's. Those are the main negatives that I see from these images. The positives from, again, the paparazzi images are positive because they do show at least the colors are not as muted as that first image, and it looks more proper to the comic. It looks more proper to even the Christopher Reeve movies. It looks more like even the TV show Superman and Lois. It just looks overall aesthetically better, right? So I'm cool with that, and that works. With that said, I am looking forward to watching the movie. I will see it. I will give it a chance, like I've done every other superhero movie that's come out, even the bad ones like Miss Marvel and the Marvels, and a lot of the Marvel films that sucked, and even the Superman, Men of Steel, and movies that came out on the DCEU and the Flash. I mean, I've seen all these movies. I went to theaters to watch them. I've enjoyed them. I haven't enjoyed some. I've enjoyed some. As it goes. So far, I'm very split on this movie. I'm not a fan of the director. I'm not a fan of the overall suit. I think David Cornswet, while he's a good actor, looks bottom bin bargain Dollar Tree Supermanish, cosplayish Superman, and that's not a knock on him. He's an actor wanting to play a part. I'm not trying to be so negative on him because that's what happened with Brandon Routh with a lot of the fans, and he was not the worst thing in the movie. In fact, he was the only good thing in the movie, Superman Returns. So I'm not going to be too harsh on the actor, but this is visually what the fans are looking at. So with that said, I'm not expecting this movie to be a huge blockbuster like Warner Brothers desperately needs. Okay, this movie cannot fail. Just to we're clear, this movie has to make close to $1 billion, not just worldwide, in the U.S. if possible. If this movie grosses 2 to 300 million domestically, it's a wrap for Superman for at least 10 years, maybe 20. Okay, on the big screen, it's it. We probably will never see another reboot for a very long time. So it's and the whole DCU with James Gunn might be in question completely after that. Now, with that said, I'm also not very pleased with John Cena as the Peacemaker. Again, the Suicide Squad. Those that was a terrible movie with Mr. Polka Dot. The Polka Dot Man was about the only good thing in that movie, and the Weasel was pretty funny, but that's about it. So you had two characters were like whatever characters, and they were the best thing in your movie. That's a bad omen. All the images so far in this Superman movie has been bad omens. So again, I'm not gonna shit on the actor. I'm not gonna be too harsh on the movie that I haven't seen a legit trailer or any actual main footage. I've just seen a very quick footage overhead of Clark walking through a crowd, and it looked like Goofy Clark. He has a drink in his hand, briefcase and stuff, and the other he's kind of trying to work way through the crowd, which I thought was kind of a curious footage to put out there, but it was interesting because it kind of like shows you the bumbling Clark that we're gonna get, and I'm cool with bumbling Clark as long as it's done not mimicking what Christopher Reeve did, but his own kind of like interpretation of what like nerdy bumbling Clark would be, and make it more original. So I hope they don't just clone that, okay? Because that would be kind of cheap and cheesy. Now I do want to get to your questions, guys. So I'm gonna address the questions here as I got them. So let me go all the way up in the chat here and get to the first questions. Let's see. Okay, Patrick asked early on, do you think it's going to be a train wreck like Superman 64? Most like, or more like other recent Superman movies? Well, I mean, like, again, my personal opinion from seeing the images, I'm leaning towards this could be a train wreck. Not so much like Superman 64, like, what was it, the video game? Uh, you know, I'm thinking more like along the line of Superman Returns. Okay, that might be where this ends up somewhere around that box office neighborhood. If it does, it's a flop. This has to cross close to $1 billion domestically for it to be legitimately seen as a major hit. Even if it does like Man of Steel numbers, which I really even doubt at this point, Warner Brothers is expecting more. Let's be honest. This has to make a lot more than even Man of Steel for it to continue to be a working series. Now, and by the way, Pat, I have not heard about the PlayStation 1 Superman game getting leaked. I have no idea about that, but I know that there was Superman games in the past. I've played a few of them. Never was a big fan of the games of the Superman or DC because they just, I mean, they were kind of like cheesy back then. Didn't do much. I like what they're doing now with the games. Back now the new PlayStations 4 and 5 and Xbox games have been really good. So I do like the Batman stuff, Injustice and all that stuff that's come out. That's really cool. Um, Let me see what other questions I have. Yeah, I agree with the photo leaking and then the other photos that leaked. There's like an urgency missing by the fans because like the fans are being let down. They're like, okay, well, it doesn't look too good. So there's not that hype that I was hoping for. Like when they said they were gonna, release some stuff, be on the lookout. I was okay. This should be good. And then we got the bottom bargain Superman image, the cat image there, where it looks like he just saved the cat from a tree, and he's putting on his boots while the world is coming down behind him. Okay, It looks like the world's being destroyed, and he's not like, I gotta put my boots on slowly because, man, maybe my back hurts, my neck hurts. He's like, you're Superman, dude. Come on, we shouldn't even see this. This is bad first image. Get with the program. So, I mean, I don't know. But there's no sense of urgency other than it's been a lot of negative stuff. So, we'll see where that leads in the next few days, weeks, as we get more and more images. And again, fan leaks, they come out. Let me see. Let me get to another question here from the chat. See. Isn't Jimmy Gunn caught up in a major pedophilia scandal? And if so, why don't they dump him? Well, I've addressed that before on the Roundtable show that I used to do with Zod Ryder and, man, so many hosts, including the Compassionate Wolf, Oscar Benjamin, was there for a bit. Roundtable, man, we had so many people over like the few years we were on. But we addressed this a while back when he was doing Suicide Squad, I believe, and even the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He does have a pedophile scandal in his past through Twitter and social media, where he was interacting with jokes about pedophilia. And that's one line I hate when people cross because it's not funny. There's no joking about raping children. He thought it was funny. He even did some stuff where he dressed like a priest and some satanic picture. James Gunn is a weird dude, okay? Let's just leave it there. Is he a pedophile? I don't know. I'm not going to address that. I have no idea. But there is a scandal, and he was fired initially because of that from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Batista and a bunch of the actors campaigned that there would be no Guardians of the Galaxy 3 if they didn't bring him back. So Marvel caved and said, okay, we'll let you finish your trilogy, but then you're gone. And that's what happened. So he got rehired, finished the movie, and then went his separate ways. That's why there won't be a Guardians of the Galaxy 4 or 5 or 6, which they're planning to do more of, but they've canceled that because of that little history. With that said, Warner Brothers was like, hey, we'll pick him up. Here, Suicide Squad. It flopped. Wow. You know what? Since that movie flopped, let's just make you the head of Warner Brothers, DCU. Because a guy who made a flop that sucked should be in charge of our projects. Like, who the hell's running Warner Brothers? How do you promote up a guy who made a movie that flopped and sucked? Okay? It was a piece of garbage movie. And he's made two, again, one good movie, one decent movie, and one bad movie. And it's Marvel movies. Is one entry into DC was terrible and it flopped. The two movies he promoted from the end of the DCEU, Blue Beetle and The Flash, both flopped, and he said they were great films and they both sucked and flopped. How do you promote that guy as the head of your studio? Like, are the inmates running in the asylum? Does he have pictures of like the new owners of DC Warner Brothers or the guys in charge? Like, does he have like images of them on the famous island that everybody knows about? Is he connected somehow? I know he was on a list of people that attended the island that we shall not speak of. But the person who ran it is no longer with us. He somehow became unalive. Okay, I don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube algorithms here, so I want to keep it light on that topic. But there is a leaked list, and James Gunn's name is in it, so I'm not saying anything. But the scandal did happen. It was real. And why they hired him and they didn't dump him, especially after his movie, The Suicide Squad, flopped and failed, is beyond me. I don't know who's running Warner Brothers, especially the DC department, what they're thinking. But they're clearly not thinking right. if you want to unite the fan base, if you want to make sure you have the right people in charge, you want to start with somebody who, first of all, doesn't have the kind of baggage. Second of all, doesn't endorse movies that flop and by all means sucked. Doesn't have a history again on Twitter talking about pedophilia. That's a lot of baggage, okay, to put on a guy that you simply just made in charge of an entire universe. Not good for business. So you have that going against it. Again, I don't want to address or spend too much time on that, but Jeffy, I have seen a lot of the old Superman serials. You know, the Fletcher cartoons, and I've seen just about every take on Superman, TV, cartoon, live action, the animated series, everything. And I've liked, disliked, loved, adored, just about every emotion you could think of when it comes to like the Superman character. And I unfortunately have been very disappointed with the last cinematic takes, and not because of the actors, but because of the directing and script writing of those two movies, Man of Steel and Superman Returns. This one, I don't like the director. Haven't read the script, so I can't say if the script is good or not. The actor looks like cosplay Superman, bottom bin bargain Dollar Tree Superman. The suit doesn't look good. It's too baggy and wrinkly. And that's the most negative part of what I'm seeing so far. The colors in the belt, in the back of the cape, or the logo, the length of the cape, with the colors again pop, the blue, the red, yellow, I like all that. I love the trunks being back on there because I'm a traditionalist and I do like that of it. Other than that, I'm very, very disappointed in a lot of what I'm seeing so far. But, you know, this is just my take, and that alone. And I can only give you my take. I can't, speak for the world. I can't say whether it's going to be good or bad. That's just the way things are. If to those who love what they're seeing, good for you, man. I'm very happy you like it. For those of you who hate what you're seeing, hey, make your voices known. Don't go see the movie if you don't like it, and go see the movie if you do like it. That's that simple, I will give you my honest review for the trailer and for the movie once it's out, based on what I see. I don't work on just fan base emotion. Okay, you're not gonna catch me just hating on the director for 20 years just because I didn't like him because he didn't use Robin or something like that. And some of you might know where I'm getting at with that. So I'm not gonna be that guy, but I'm gonna give you an honest review. And if I like the movie, I will say I like the movie. If I hate the movie, I will say I hate the movie. That's the way I think all fans should react to anything like this. You either like it or you don't like it. Potato, potato, whatever. Um, it should be like that for every movie, not just comic book movies, but always give the art, being done a chance with the artist involved, whether it be the creative director, the actors, or whatever that are involved. Give that production a chance before you just judge it and destroy it, which I think is a major problem now. It's a major, major problem with a lot of the toxic fandom, where instead of allowing the movie to come out and then judging the product, we see them online trashing things for no reason, over and over and over and over and over and over. This is my only video I'm gonna make on this until the trailer comes out. Okay, you don't have me in 30 videos trashing it. It's no need for that. Will I mention maybe in another video or two with friends if they want to join? Sure. That'll be for other live stuff. This one, as it's a review of the leaked images, I didn't want to really have anybody involved, so I'm doing this one solo bolo, right? And that's why I'm here by myself. But with that said, you're not going to catch me just going out here and going full retard on something, even if I don't like it. I will just give you my actual honest opinion every single time. And if you have a problem with that, which some of you might, that's fine. I have no issues with anybody having an issue with my opinion. With that, you can always leave a comment. If you have any more questions, I'm going to be on for a little bit longer. Put them in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. But I'm not going to go on a high horse bashing a project without seeing the movie. And I hope other fans cool off. I've seen too many already lose their mind over images. That we have. You can do what I did and give your positive and negatives. That's fine. Your opinion. We all have that right to have an expression from an opinion, and we all should express what we feel, negative or positively, on whatever project, movie, TV series, or whatever. I do believe in that. I believe in free speech and all that good stuff. So I hope, above everything else, that the fans will give it a chance. Even those who don't like it, still watch it. You never know, you might like it. I do understand the Snyder fans being upset. I get it. I was upset that Tom Welling didn't get cast. I was upset that Brandon Routh didn't get another chance. These things upset me. I'm upset Henry Cavill didn't get to continue. I understand you being frustrated and upset. You guys pushed for the Snyder Cut. You got your Snyder Cut. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers are allowing a not so good director in James Gunn to take over after a plethora of bad things, which, I would never have hired him, to be honest. I would have seeked out a much better person and put him in charge. Like, for example, when you want to look at other properties, like what Disney's done with Star Wars has been disastrous because they have the wrong people in charge. You put Kathleen Kennedy in charge, and it's gone to hell, right? Wrong person. Even on an amazing historic franchise like Star Wars, which I'm a big fan of, as you can see back here, Star Wars. I have like two posters, one there and the other one right there, and they're both Star Wars related. I have Star Wars tattoos on my arm, right? Darth Vader. So I'm a Star Wars geek. That's my number one franchise of all times. I'm a huge Star Wars fanatic. And I will tell you what Disney's done has been a disaster as a Star Wars fanatic. So I'm very disappointed in that aspect of having the wrong person involved and in charge of an entire creative universe could do to a film, into a universe of these kind of films, which again, these are children stories, they're comic book related, but they're adapted to film, and I do like the more serious approach. While they're still comic book films, I do think that they should adapt them properly, meaning the characters should stick to the comic book as much as possible, and not just one take of the comic book, but the overall legend of the comic book. This is why I really like Christopher Nolan and what he did. But a lot of people are like, "Well, his Batman movies were so grounded in reality, and it missed the mark because of this or that." And I'm like, it was comic book related. It had all the comic book characters you would want. Scarecrow, right? It had the Joker, Ra's al Ghul. It had Bane. I mean, it was Batman. Had the comic book characters come to life. The best Bruce Wayne I think ever was Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne. His Batman was to me the greatest Batman we've seen. And right next to him, I would put Michael Keaton second, and Robert Pattinson almost tied with Michael Keaton. Okay, because I love what Robert Pattinson did, but my top is Christian Bale. To me, that's the perfect embodiment of what Batman and what Bruce Wayne should be. I mean, I don't think they're ever gonna be able to top him. So I do hope that one day they do a 4, 5, and 6 trilogy with a little bit older Batman. Maybe they could do a Dark Knight Returns Batman. Like it's already the Dark Knight trilogy, so why not? And have a proper adaptation within that Nolan universe of the Dark Knight Returns story. That'd be cool. And in fact, when I saw Ben Affleck in suit for the Snyder Cut or the Snyder Universe, I thought, well, maybe that's where they're going because it kind of had that vibe to it. But again, Ben didn't work for me as Batman as much as Bale has worked. Um, but we don't know who's going to play Batman and the Brave and the Bold, as they're calling it, which I don't even know if that's going to be the final title of the movie because even the Superman movie, which is not just titled Superman, at one point was titled Superman Legacy. So even that's changed. So I'm not too sure if the Brave and the Bold will end up being the working title for the Batman movie. We'll see when that happens. But that's my overall take. I mean, you saw the images, you saw the set stuff leaked by fans, right? And shout outs to those fans for leaking them. Um, Again, you already heard what I had to say. Like the overall color scheme, like the trunks, like the belt, like the cape, like the S in the back. Not sold on Dave Cornsweet and his look as Superman. Looks again dollar bin Superman. I hate to say it because he's a good actor. In the limited stuff I've seen, he's a very good actor. So I'm not gonna shit on him. I hope the initial trailer sells me on this movie and really makes me want to see it. I hope that the movie comes out good. I wish nothing but the best for the production. I know that a lot hinges on this movie being a huge blockbuster in Hollywood. Um, a lot hinges on this being a huge Superman movie, not just for money for Warner Brothers, but for them to make more Superman movies. And if you're a fan of Superman, having Superman appear in cinema is always a good thing. Even the bad Christopher Reeve Superman were good in their own way. Superman 3, Superman 4, not too good of two movies there. But they were good because Christopher Reeve made us all believe a man could fly. Okay? And even as thin as he looked, when you saw him, you're like, that is Superman. Alright, and it was on the face, the way he portrayed it oozed that character. Uh, the man was a brilliant choice by a brilliant director, and it's a shame that Richard Donner didn't get to continue directing the movie. The Donner cut I really liked, but it was kind of a little too late. They couldn't go back and really do the principal photography and really give the proper Donner take or Donner cut that they should have. But it worked for what it was, for the limits that they had, and they spent a decent budget making it work. And I like the Donner cut, and I think that's where the Snyder fans got the idea of the Snyder cut, because it worked with the campaign for the Donner cut, so and then it worked for the Snyder cut. Somehow has not worked for the Ayer cut of his Suicide Squad. I think you're not gonna get that, guys. The Air Suicide Squad movie was really bad. I don't think they should do any more Suicide Squad films. Keep it for like spin-off shows like Peacemaker and stuff like that, and other characters. I would actually like to see a Weasel and Polka Dot Man team up in a backstory before they bite the bullet. And the Suicide Squad movie, which the Weasel was very funny. Uh, Other than that, I mean, I don't got much more to say. I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat, so if you guys have any more questions, please let me know right now before I end this. But I do want to thank those who have been in the chat here for the last hour or so, for participating in the questions and stuff. That's really cool. This is my first live video in a very long time on YouTube. I hope to do more of them. As it's easy, just go live, do the stuff, and let it go, as opposed to doing all that post production stuff. That's a lot of work. So the plan is to drop a movie review or something like that live every Saturday at this time, 10 p.m. For however long it goes. Hopefully, we get more people involved in the chat area. Hopefully, I get more fans of the properties that I'm going to talk about to come in and drop comments, questions. I welcome everybody's questions, and I will have also live stuff where I'm going to have other people involved talking about movies and other things that I like. Remember, this is inside the Jackal's Head channel, so I'm going to have a whole lot of plethora of different things live and rendered and cut for uploading, both from my podcast and for different kind of content that I put out there. If you guys want to visit any of my work, it's very easy to get to. My full name is the website angelespino.com. Very easy. ANGEL. See it on the top. ESPINO.com. All one word. angelespino.com. Go there. You see everything. Also, please hit me up on Patreon. It's very important as I need the Patreon support because I'm, pending certain things for the disability, and right now it's helping me to keep a roof over my head and the lights turned on. So please go to patreon.com/Angel Espino. Be an angel investor, whatever you can leave on there is greatly appreciated with a lot of love, even if it's $3, $5, whatever you can do. Again, Angel Espino on Patreon. And you can even get my PayPal account through there, which is at Real Angel Espino. That's my Patreon pay me page. So you can do either or, but please help out, and I really would appreciate that. With that said, again, don't forget, guys, leave your comments below once the video's done. I want to hear feedback from you guys who weren't in the chat room. Please do that. Subscribe to my channel. I already got a few pickup on subscription. Thank you for that, guys. And please subscribe, hit the like button. All that stuff matters because I do want to get this channel monetized and get it bigger and better. And again, to help put a roof over my head permanently, and not one where I'm 6 feet underground or whatever. Just a nice roof that I can do my shows on and pay my bills. And monetizing is very important, so please do that. I really would appreciate it. That only happens by your help, by subscribing to the channel, leaving your thumbs up, and making sure that we are taken care of here. And Patreon, again, I cannot urge that enough. Patreon.com/Angel Espino. And with that said, folks, thank you so much again for participating and taking part. I will be back next Saturday with another video right here on YouTube, and I believe we're going to do maybe X.com or DLive also next week as part of it. So I'm going to be exploring multiple areas, maybe Twitch, I don't know yet, that are going to be simulcasting the show. Until then, though, I want to again say thank you to everybody. Take care of yourselves. Be peaceful. Don't be hating so much on a project you have not seen so much. By all means, let's be peaceful fanboys and fangirls on the internet. I hate seeing this split and this divisiveness in the communities of these properties that are just toxic and do nothing but bring toxic nature vibes to these projects. That make even the best directors sometimes second guess themselves, and make studios interfere, and it makes for a bad overall experience if you get involved in. You start following one trend to the next. That's why I'm not even fond of trailers so much. I like just going to the cinema and knowing that I'm going to watch something that's going to make my head explode one way or the other, whether I'm happy or not happy. Either way, I want to go in knowing as little as possible. I had to talk about these images because there's, of course, rumors, a lot of talk, and these are important images because I'm a Superman fan. So for me as a fan, I want to talk about this because as fans, we all have an opinion. But I'm not going to rush to judgment. I give you my positive and my negatives. I hope all the fans that are watching this and are looking at the images do the same. Try to stay as positive as possible and give it a chance. Dave Cornsweat, the best of luck to you. Not sold on you yet, but I wasn't sold on Tyler on the TV show, and he won me over. I would look forward to that final season now, which sucks that they're canceling it. But we have James Gunn to thank for that. Thank you, James Gunn, for taking away Henry Cavill from the Snyder fans and taking the Superman and Lois away from TV from the fans of that show. Thank you, James Gunn, for destroying the two wishes of fan bases for having their universe continue. But I'm not the one in charge of Warner Brothers. I wish I was. I wish Warner Brothers called me tomorrow and be like, "Hey, Angel, we need you to be in charge of our DC project because it's gone to hell in a handbasket." But so far, nobody's reached out. So until they do, I can't say anything else. Just gotta let it be. And with that said, guys, I'm gonna cut this stream short as I see, no more questions coming in. So till next week on Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Inside the Jackal's Head at the movies with Angel the Jackal Espino. This has been The Images I promised you. You saw them. Make your own opinion. Form them. And leave your comments below. Once the video is uploaded and you see it and you either like it or don't, leave the comment. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. But please, whether you like it or not, whether you like the images or not, subscribe to my channel. And again, check out angelespino.com. Till then, everybody, thank you, take care, and we'll see each other next week. And tomorrow, I will be live with V on my podcast. Shoutouts to V. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about him being a targeted individual. And that can be heard only on my main website, angelespino.com, as you can see up there. Alright, guys. Love you all. Take care. And stay true to red, white, and blue. And justice, truth, and the American way. Or truth, justice, and the American way. Whichever way you want to look at it. Peace, everybody.